So what is a group? A group is a way to manipulate numerous channels together or simultaneously. There are two types of groups in Pro Tools. There is a mix group and an edit group, and they both have similar functions, yet one works inside of the mix window and the other works inside of the edit window. So let's talk a little bit about what these two group types are and how you might use them. If we were going to create a group out of this drum kit, I'll explain how we create groups in just a minute, but I'm going to call this kit, and I made this a edit and a mix group. And what you'll notice now is when this group is enabled, when I grab one track, it moves all of the tracks associated with that specific group. Okay, when we disable the group over here, then we can move a track individually. Also, an edit group allows us to edit the material all as one track. So even though I've got all of these tracks selected, by the fact that they are all part of this edit group, you can see I can select and make an edit, and it affects every track. Same is true with, for example, our automation. I could take and make an automation move, and because I do it to one track, it does it to all of the tracks. So that's a basic overview of groups and how to use groups. Now let's talk about more specifics. Okay, let's talk about the actual parameters of a mix and or edit group, or a combined mix and edit group. First of all, you can have up to 104 groups, which consists of 4 banks of 26 IDs. And you'll notice the IDs that are right here. So the very first one, A, is the first group that I have. If we click over here and say modify, you can see here's the 4 banks of 26, A through Z. So 104 total groups that are available. Also, I mentioned that you can have specific types. You can have solely an edit group, solely a mix group, or a combination of both. So if we have a mix group, for example, and what I do in the mix window does not affect what I do here. So I could still edit an individual track here in the edit window. But when I go back to the mix window, all of these faders are grouped. You can also have nested groups. So even though I've got this drum kit here, I could turn that off. I could make a selection, say I want all of the toms to be part of a group, and I could create that group, toms, and now you can see those toms are grouped together, but I can also have those nested inside of my kit. So just the tom group and also a nested group, so the toms now are nested inside of the drum kit group. If you have an edit group enabled, what parameters will it affect? Well, if you try to change the track height of one track, it will change the track height of all of the members of that group. If you try to change the track views, maybe we're going to go look at the playlist view. It'll change the view of all tracks that are members of that group. If you change the time-based settings, so from sample-based to tick-based, it'll change all members of the group. If you change an elastic audio plugin, so you decide you're going to make all of these elastic audio tracks, it will change all of those members of the group. Also, if you edit any material, or if you make a selection, it'll affect all members of the group. Now let's talk about the mix group. Parameters are affected when a specific track is a member of a mix group. The first and most obvious is that each track's volume fader is a member of that group, and so all of them will move together. The second is the mute button. If you mute one member of the track, it will mute all members of the track. Also, solo, as well as the send levels, the send mutes, automation mode settings if you're in Pro Tools HD, and a number of other elements. If you would like to alter one of the tracks but not go over here and turn the group off, You can do that by using, on a Mac, the shortcut Control and then click. See, I'm able to move or change the level of the snare track by holding down the Control key and then manipulating the fader. So that temporarily suspends this fader from the group. Now when I release the key, again, all of the members of the group will work together. The same is true of all these other parameters we talked about as well. So if you want to solo just one track, you can go Control and hit solo, or mute one track, Control and mute, rather than muting all or soloing all the members of a group.